purpose of this video is to show how to calibrate the cameras used in Axonic. So Axonic uses whatever cameras that you have available on your device to take measurements. And those can be accurate right from opening the app, because what Axonic does is it goes and looks for information within your device. So manufacturers will record certain information that can be used to try and calibrate the app automatically. However, sometimes that information isn't accurate, or at least not accurate for our needs. And so the default calibration that you get within Axonic can be wrong, and thus the measurements that you take can be incorrect until you go and do a calibration. So the way that you can look at the calibration of your cameras is if we go to the top right here and select that menu and then go to settings. And then if we go to this camera settings button here, and this takes you to where all the camera settings are. Now you can see here we've got a 0 times, well, we've got 4 cameras for a start. There are 4 buttons. 2 of them are listed as 0 times zoom, and that's simply because I just haven't opened those or used those cameras yet with this version of the app. You may be presented with many, or if you've used your device to capture some measurements already after downloading the latest version, it may in fact show you the zoom for all your cameras. Now another note about this zoom is that it is approximate. It won't necessarily match exactly what the zoom is that you know your cameras to be. So for example, the 16 times zoom here I know is listed as 10 times zoom, but these are just approximately calculated from data available within the app. So what we can do is, if you want to calibrate these, you can go and calibrate one in particular, or you could systematically go through and calibrate them all. So if we say open this 16 times zoom here, and we can say that this is the default. We can see here this is the default calibration. Then we've got this manual one, and so what you could do is you could enter in a manual calibration if you wanted to play around with it. But what we have here, and it's already been done, but we'll do it again, is a routine for calibrating the device using a photo. So what I'll do here is I'll click on this button, calibrate camera, and I've already done this once before, but now we'll have another go at it. And I'll click on this button on the top left here and take a photo. So I'll say yes, and I'll focus on, I've got something in the distance. Now in this case I'll put a ruler here. Now I've held down to focus on it. So I've got the ruler, and I can take a photo of it. But what I've done in advance is I've actually gone and measured the exact distance from where my phone is using a tape measure to that ruler. Now this ruler works for this particular camera because it's 10 times zoom, so it zooms in. When we do the next one, we'll use the door instead. So you'll pick what you're going to try and calibrate against by selecting something that's suitable. So we've gone and taken this photo, and you can see that there are 2 dots here. Now the one with the crosshair is active. So if we zoom in here, and we can move that point to there, and then we click on this top right button to shuffle to the other point, which is now active. You can see the crosshairs on that. And we'll just move that into the right place. Eventually get there. And then the other thing that we need to do is enter, and this is just accessed by the top lower bottom right button here. We enter the distance, which I've also measured in advance. So this is the distance to the center of that ruler, or to either end of the ruler actually. So that's 3.31 and 3.31. And we saw that that's 300 millimeters. So 0.3 meters. Done. And we'll see that down here, it's gone and calculated these parameters that need to be inputted in for the calibration. So if we go back here and open this up again, we'll see that the default is 25, but the calibrated one is slightly different from the default. So if you've done it carefully and you've measured your distances carefully, that should be accurate. Now what I'll do is I'll just quickly do another one, just repeat the exercise, but this time I'll select a different, say one of these 0 ones where we've not done it before. So if I click on this, and what I'll do is I'll go down here again, and we can see that it's 7,377. And I'll take a photo of this door. And I'll just repeat that exercise. Yeah, maybe I could have spent a bit more time making sure that was focused, but this will be close enough for the example. Now I've measured this door in advance, and I know that it is 81 centimeters or 810 millimeters wide. So ideally you'd get a crisp photo and it would be focused, so there's no doubt as to what the where the edge was. So I've got those 2 points, and we put in that distance again. And in fact, this one here is, I've measured not to the center of the door, to the edges of the door. So 3.31, 3.31, and 0.81, 810 millimeters, done. And you see there it's gone and populated the calibration numbers. And this will mean even if you've previously taken measurements, by having populated this, it'll now recalculate those measurements and give you accurate results. So if we go back, so it was a 4.7 times zoom camera, we can see again it's slightly different from what it was. Now you can, this is, as soon as you do that photo calibration, it changes this calibration method to the calibrated one. You can change it back to your default calibration if you'd like. But generally, if you've done your calibration accurately, then you'd want it on calibrated. So that's how you calibrate the cameras on your device in Axonic.